Um,
Rivers, pride of the nation, clean up, live up. 365 rivers we know. In Dominica they flow, pure and free they show how nature's love grows. Island vibes flow under the sun's glow. Rivers we and they wind, nature's gift you'll find. Mountains high below, waters pure they go. Through the land they chime, rhythm sets in time. Man, 365 rivers we know. In Dominica they flow, pure and free they show how nature's love grows. Make every day World Rivers Day. Sweet Dominica 365, let the beauty shine. In the heart of this land, rivers like veins expand. Life pulses through the earth, nature's miracle since birth. Whoa. 365 rivers we know. In Dominica they flow, pure and free they show how nature's love grows. Green hills and blue skies that call to you. Every drop that falls, feel the vibe nature sows. Sunset paints the sky as the rivers sigh. Stories of ages past, moments that will last. Whoa. 365 rivers we know.
yeah, good evening, and to the listeners and viewers, and especially those of you in the audience of this week in interview. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Interview with your host and guide, Anthony Drago. It's always a pleasure to be here with you on a Wednesday evening, spending an hour. Sometimes we go beyond that, just exploring really interesting subjects. I get to have discussions with interesting folks who, because of their training or their experience or their interest, we find that they have something to talk about, and we talk about it with them, and I get to share those conversations with you, and that's the highlight of my week doing this week in interview. So tonight we have a very special program for you, and I am not going to do a long intro because I'm anxious to get to my guests, because we're going to be talking about something that's very, very dear to my heart: water. I get to talk about water almost 3 weeks in a row because last week Tuesday I was on a program on Q95 talking about water governance in Dominica, and then last week my guest, uh, Dr. Kala, we spoke about her swim program and preparation for World Rivers Day. Well, tonight my guest is Father Coffee, who we all call the River Guardian. He's the one who's been, sounding the alarm about our rivers and really encouraging us to cherish our rivers. And with him, a very special welcome to Ms. Jacqueline Douglas. First time on the program, but she's the manager at Hampstead Estate, Ms. Jacqueline Douglas. And she is on the program because tonight we're going to talk about plans that are being put together in recognition of World Rivers Day. We know Father Coffee is a huge champion of World Rivers Day recognition, and so that's what we're talking about tonight. What plans are we putting in place? Ms. Douglas, who I would say, since we're talking about stewards, is really has been a very strong steward and advocate for the Hampstead River. And we've seen on social media some of the stands that she's had to take, some of them not popular, but she stood it anyway, bringing to light some of the practices that are happening that are affecting the Hampstead River, one of our best, um, most functional rivers. And what we're going to learn about that river, it could be applied to all the other rivers um, in Dominica. We heard this song at the start of the program, Dominica 365 rivers. How well are we being stewards of that treasure that we are lucky to be guardians of? The fresh water, top quality water that is really readily accessible. We need very little need for any type of processing whatsoever. How appreciative are we of that treasure? So that's it in a nutshell. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to talk about World Rivers Day. Father Coffee is going to tell us about what's happening, what's being planned, working with some of with the Kalinago people, with the folks from Portsmouth and around the country. And Ms. Douglas is here going also because she's part of the World Rivers Day plan of activities, but specifically she's going to bring to us some truths. Might be a little bit to swallow, but we need to face them as to how well we're doing with really taking care of the treasures that we have. All right, so that's what we have on tap for tonight. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be great, and I don't know. We will try to get Father Coffee back on at least one more time before the actual World Rivers Day and during that period. But for now, I wanted to bring you the plans, not just for the sake of information, but so that you can know what is happening and you can see where you can fit in, where you can also do something in support of preserving our rivers, where you can see how you can support the folks who are taking part in it. So that's the objective, so that you become aware of what's happening and you can see what role that you can play. And if you happen to be one of those folks who can do better in terms of disposal of solid waste, in terms of what we do with our rivers, hopefully it stimulates you into reversing that habit or that behavior and even becoming an advocate that will call out people when they practice those undesirable behaviors. So, without further ado, let me introduce my guest to you, ladies first. So, we have Ms. Jacqueline Douglas, and I'm simply going to say that she's the manager of Hampstead Estate, and I'll let her give us a few more details. And Father Franklin Coffey. Father Franklin Coffey is no stranger to this week in interview. He's been on with us before when we did Wave, when we did a coffee for World Coffee Day last year. He was on, and of course for World Rivers Day, we always try to have him on. So, also Father Coffee and Miss Douglas, a very warm welcome to you tonight.
Mm,
We can interview.
Thank
Let
you very much. It's nice to have you.
thank you, and Miss Douglas as well. Let's hear her voice.
To be here.
Most of that was muted. So go again.
Oh, thank you. Good to be here. Thanks
All
for
right.
the opportunity to to speak about what we do and our rivers,
Yeah.
especially the one in our background
The
right
one in
now.
the background is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scene you have there. All right. So, Father Coffee, I'm going to go to you first so you can set the stage for us because we're talking about your passion, rivers, Dominica rivers, and one of the ways in which you express that is the emphasis that we recognize World Rivers Day. So I'm going to give you the first go to inform folks about World Rivers Day, when it is, what's happening, who is participating, and how, and also importantly, how each one of us can contribute.
Okay, to begin, as you are aware, okay, I speak for the World Rivers Day Committee. Normally, what we do each year, we approach a community and we ask them, are you willing? Are you ready? Can you host this year, the year's activity? And this year, we approached the Portsmouth Town Council, and of course, they were excited. I must say, Mr. Douglas, Washway Douglas, was one of the one who really wanted this activity to be in Portsmouth. But the town council welcomed us, and and they took it from there. Besides that, we also had the Pope coming up with a new mass. And that is where, for me, we are putting the emphasis. Why a new care of creation mass? Again, he's following in the footsteps of Pope Francis, who taking care of our common home is our responsibility. So to prepare ourselves to that stage, we had 100 days of activity, and we appealed to different communities to do something during those 100 days. And today it takes us to 39 days left for World Rivers Day. I don't know if that's enough for my introduction.
Oh, it is. You're saying that the focal point of activities for World Rivers Day in Dominica this year is Portsmouth.
But
Can you tell
but
us
especially the Indian River.
the Indian rivers? I was going to say specifically the Indian River. But just to be clear, Father, that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that's happening. Almost every community in Dominica has one or multiple rivers that runs through that community. So that because the official formal activities taking place in Portsmouth doesn't give all other Dominicans any excuse not to recognize that day and do something in their community. Am I correct?
You're very correct. That's why I told you we had 100 days leading up to
Mhm.
this day. So all during this time, there are a lot of things have been happening. If you want me to think two things I'm very excited about,
Okay.
that only 2 days ago, the Indian River, the tourist department or whatever, they contributed $190,000 for the enhancement of the Indian River. So that really got me excited. $190,000. And we know what is happening today in the Rosa River. Okay, there's massive cleanup. I wish it was better managed. I wasn't sure if it was the enhancement people who were working on the Rosal River. I went there taking photos of what was happening, and the smell was really awful. But today, a forestry officer I pick up the lady on the road to work, and she said, "What is happening in Roseau is really the forestry and the town council." The town, I don't know who is providing the finance, but I still think that is not properly managed from what I see. But I'm excited. We call it the Queen River, and we cannot talk about enhancement of Roseau without enhancing our 15 rivers, in that catchment of our country.
All right, thank you. And let's go to the lady, Miss Jacqueline Douglas. Welcome again to this weekend interview. Uh, Tell us about Hampstead Estate. But you can since it's the first time that you are on this weekend interview, take a few minutes um, to take a few moments to just introduce yourself. Let the listeners know who you are, and then you can go directly into give us an idea of Hampstead Estate, what you guys do, and so on as an intro.
Okay, well, Hampstead Estate is a 420-acre piece of land in the northeast between Kalibishi and Benz.
Mm.
My father bought it in his time and then he left it to the family. So I manage it. My sister and I are the ones there um, on a daily basis. So we categorize what we do in three major broad strokes. We do the agriculture piece, the farming, we do the tourism piece, and we do the agro-processing piece. Now,
Okay.
in all this, as we went about, when we first started, which is probably about 12 years ago, this instant, we didn't really have the river as part of what we had planned to do. But we went there, seeing how we should go about making the estate the Garden of Eden that we wanted it to be. So first thing is my brother, even before us, went about certifying it, getting it certified by the Soil Association of America, making an organic farm. So we just followed on that. He's our nature guru, that is Washwe Adenoa Douglas. And from that, we quite early on in the game, Washi was going to do a program, a project with for the Martinicans. And we had to collect coconuts, open them, deshell them, wash them, and freeze them. And so the Martinicans came down because, as you know, coconut, the kernel of the coconut is highly perishable. Martinicans came down with their test tubes and they tested the river water. And lo and behold, what looked so nice and clean and pristine had a lot of nonsense in it between garbage, gas, diesel, chemicals, fecal coliforms, and we were like, whoa. I think from that time I kind of started to bathe less in the river, to tell you the truth, which is sad. And so my brother started to write all kind of slogans and stuff around the river, like skip the plastics, organic signs, no rubbish and stuff like that, all on the bridge. But I think during that time, the situation got worse. So the Vatican gave us some chemical, I think chlorine or something, to put in the water. We had to collect it to be able to do the project. But then as time went by, the situation got worse. It's like, I think the public was reacting negatively to the signs. And so we went ahead and we just blocked the river, the entry of vehicles into the river. We left it open enough for people to be able to come in and use it, but vehicles couldn't come in, because that's what we used to see on a daily basis. Vehicles coming and they washing the vehicles in the river. You can see the rainbow colors of
The oil
gas,
slick.
and so we decided, we cannot just pass by and that's happening. So every time we saw it, we would confront them and mepui and bad word, and it was really a terrible time for us, because they took that looked like the heap of rubbish that is up Kokoe. That is a hamster picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is up in Kokoe, actually. The second turn in Kokoe is a little area just above the Hampstead River, and this is right at the top. People, I think, from the Kalibishi area are dumping their garbage, and this is leaking down into the river. So what you see by the bridge, this is going into it. And by looking at the water, you cannot tell. It's only when the Martinicans gave us the results that we found out, oh my God, this river is not clean. And so from then on, we just had to, whatever came our way, we had to address it. And so it has been. We got a bad name. Those Douglas sisters, I mean, it went as far as when I used to go up the road to sell eggs. People used to say, we don't want your eggs because you don't want us to use the river. Now, you'd be surprised. They were not hearing the garbage piece. They were hearing that we do not want them to use the river. And so that whole episode didn't make the traction that it should have made, because people just bypass the fact that there is garbage and we are the ones doing it and we need to stop. So from there, other issues came, like I think we had the issue with the elodia, this pondweed. I think it is probably like the prairie something that is in the rosa one. And because we have a tubing, we call it the river drift that we do down the river. We take it from the bridge in a tube or pui pui, and people go down the river. Very nice. Usually it's tourists that do it. And with the elodia, when you're in a tube, you're feeling the weeds on your backside pretty much. So it became an unpleasant experience. And then we had to go in and remove it. We went to the people of Ben's Calibishi. We asked for the help. And the people of Ben's came, the guys came. And a couple Sundays, we went there and washed quite a bit of it. And then the river took down the rest. So we have been doing, as the need arises, we go bien fou bien and do what we have to do. We took a couple people to court one time, and it went on emo, and the hell broke loose. But I think right now people are beginning to get the drift. They think this much, but I'm seeing a positive
There's a glimmer.
something into it.
There's a glimmer of hope.
Yes,
There's a
glimmer
glimmer.
of hope. Yeah.
Okay. So Father Coffee, before I go to Father Coffee, let me just point out to listeners that some of those photos, a lot of those photos that you saw were taken today, right? Because I think Ella said that I think it's you that said you were on the road, so you're going to take some additional photos. So just so folks understand the seriousness of this, is that some of those photos were taken today. As we speak, we are not that people are dumping in the river, but there seems to be a lack of awareness that when you dump your river over the falls or wherever it is, it eventually enters the river, either as the solid waste that it is, or as we get a lot of rain. So rain will leach a lot of the substance from those garbage as they rot and end up in the water, in the river, that you then on a Sunday take your children and you go by the river, and while you're washing your vehicle, your children are in the river bathing in the trash that is thrown upstream, sometimes by you or some of your family without realizing it. So that's the education. Father Coffee, how common is that experience? Over the years, you've worked tirelessly to bring awareness to the delicacy of our rivers. We see them flowing and we see them in a storm and they're raging, and we think that they are strong and robust entities, but they're really
But
fragile.
even before you go there, I think in one of Jacqueline's photos, I
Hmm.
saw what seems to me to be the mimosa pickerel.
Right.
Yeah, am I correct with that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I saw one in one of in one of the photos, and that is the issue we have with not only the Rosa River, but all rivers in our country where the dredging took place.
Hmm.
To answer your question, right, that's it here. That's a photo right there. I think it looks like it very, very much so.
Right.
Um, I met Jacqueline Jupine. I know she and Vanessa Prifo were involved in greening the Roseau. So in my ignorance, I told her, I see nature is greening our city. And she says to me, what am I talking about? And I said, well, the trees that are growing in the rivers and they're hiding all the rubbish on the riverbank and so on, to answer your question. So we were not saying the nastiness then. So she said me, if I'm not aware, this is an invasive plant. So I said, well, what you're talking about is making the city green. So after my discussion with her, I went to forestry, and in their parking lot, I took the first photo of that plant from forestry parking lot because it was coming over the wall. And with that photo, I went upstairs, I showed it to the only forestry officer on the place. And she told me this is an invasive plant. Okay. So you
But
can
it's right in
imagine
the
my
yard.
reaction. And then she went on to tell me it came in with the equipments they brought to Dominica to dredge our rivers after Maria. Okay, so that was her response. Incidentally, today, no, sorry, yesterday, I was in Layo. So I gave you one version, but in Layo, when I discussed that with them, they say no. That began in Layo in the community long before Maria. They said the Chinese were doing their agricultural business there, and they used that plan to protect their whatever they were producing. Okay, they knew that plant was, when it grows, it
Uh-huh.
gives you a last. So they build a wall. So we have two versions. Forestry say it came with the equipment. The people in Lai says the Chinese who actually
Introduce it.
planted. But if they knew the plant they were planting that they know is toxic, I do not think they would have. So I prefer to go with the forestry version that it came in. I'm sure you are aware that Mimosa pigra, one plant can produce 220,000 seeds. Just one plant. Okay? And it is very toxic. That's why in Roseau, wherever this plant come in contact with other plants, they destroy them. So right now, you will not see any Roseau weed growing in the Roseau River. So maybe we should change the name from Roseau to Mimosa Pigra City. It may come to that. So that's where we are at.
Right.
Now they're trying to pull out. I can share with you also the Geneva playing field in Granby was also covered with that plant as well. Okay, we know it as Mezemawi. You're familiar with Mezemawi.
Hmm.
I have a brother living with me here, Brother Jeffrey. I even think he put Mezemawi in his rum as well. You know,
Right. Hmm.
and I
But
have a strong
we grew up
tongue.
with Mezamawi. We grew up with
Right.
Mezamawi.
So it is the same. They call mesemari the sensitive plant,
Hmm.
which grows underground. And the one in the river, they call it giant sensitive plant because they can grow 8, 9 to 12 feet. Okay. So that's where we are at with that plan. And as I said, it was in Granby on the playing field, and they got rid of it by rooting it out from the ground. And this is what I see they're doing with Roseau. The hummingbirds love it. The butterflies love it. The bees love it. But as they come to those flowers, they also spread it all over the place. Okay, we have the plant along the market in Roseau. If you go to the Roseau to do some shopping and it's in bloom, you too will take that thing from the market to your home or wherever you go. So it spreads very quickly. And, I think it's a crisis we need to deal with. Okay. And I think now is the time before it's too late.
Yeah. So we are talking about the invasive species, which is almost a natural phenomena, and Philo Coffee. That is why you're a priest, because you believe, you assume or you hope that the more benign story is the correct story, where it came in accidentally and not deliberately. And so, but the point is that it is there, it is spreading, and it turns out that it is not an easy solution where you can just root it up, because after you've dug it up, if the roots stay in the ground a little bit, it's going to sprout again and continue to spread. So it is something that's going to need to it's something that's going to need attention and constant attention, not once a year when it's visitor time that we attack it. It's something that we need to pay attention to. And then if you say that it's right there in the yard of the forestry division, it's almost as if it's daring them to say, let me see what you can do. I'm in your face. But the so the general population may have less control over that. I mean, if you see the plant and you have your cutlass, maybe you can cut it down. That would probably slow down the growth. but be careful not to take that piece of vegetation somewhere else because you'll just be introducing it to a new location. But what the average Dominican can do is to be careful of where you dump your solid waste, where you dump your cans, where you dump your plastic, where you dump whatever other packaging material that you have. And also I know that Dominica has implemented a single-use plastic ban. So let us see how we can encourage the enforcement of that. So, Jacqueline, in terms of Hampstead, is I mean, I want to show some of the photos of how beautiful the the river can be or is. Um, the river Mouth. Sam, if you have some of those photos, you can bring them up. And just to highlight exactly what it is that we stand the chance of destroying. And so let's talk about the attractiveness and the amenities that you are offering the public in terms of you said, because you said tourism was one of the activities at Hempstead Estate. So let's talk about that aspect of it while Sam maybe bring up some of the photos. If you, I think he probably has a few.
Well, probably I should start with probably Batibu Beach is probably the most well known. It was rated among the 50 best beaches in the world.
Oh wow,
Yeah, I think it's number 34 or something in 2017.
wow.
Um, Often used by Ministry of Tourism as is like a poster child when we
Mm,
advertise in Dominica. But it's more for quiet atmosphere, local gourmet food, um, and intensely natural, very, very natural. Matter of fact, there's one piece of concrete that is in the toilet, the base of the toilet. Everything else is from materials around the Batibu Basin.
right.
Okay, and I find the tourists like that a lot. Somehow they feel they came from a lot of concrete, and they're happy to be in an all natural place. But okay, so in Batibu there are trails that we can take. This picture is of number one. I'll get to number one in a minute.
Okay, so that's a different beach.
There's a different
There's a
that
beach in Dominica called Number One.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
wow.
We call it number one beach river. And that
Mm,
is the river that is running off that same garbage heap you showed.
right,
Today we took that picture. This is number one. And this is the beach that we're going to have World River. That's the same beach. Remember I talk about the river drift?
right,
That is there. A local guy from Benz, the Jackson, taking the tourists down the river in tubes.
right.
It's about an hour down
An hour.
bridge. Yes, an hour.
Wow.
It's a nice, very quiet, very green um, ride. But I tell you, that water you see that looks clean, the water behind me, it's the same number one river. So the Hampstead River, it runs into number one beach.
Oh, I
Okay,
see.
not number one meaning the best, because we consider Batibu the best, but it is a Hampstead beach. Hampstead has three beaches. And so this year, instead of having road rivers, they at the works, because we have the works ruins where
Excuse me.
sugar, a sugar mill.
Hmm.
We normally have World Rivers, they celebrate it there, but this time we're celebrating it at, you see behind me,
Hmm.
that is the Hampstead River flowing into the number one beach. So that's the river coming down right here.
Right.
Okay, and
Uh-huh.
that's the sea on the next side right here.
Right, right. And the
In
beach is stretching out over. Yeah. I
Right.
see. Right.
So in the middle there, you all may know, is the bushry. That is the place
Usually.
where we do all the demarrage. If you go and bathe there, any Maui you have, folklore, of course.
Hmm.
And then okay, then we have the trails, and then we have a lot of products as well, like our local honey. virgin coconut oil. We sell coffee, but it's not the regular coffee, it's Zapiant coffee. The older people that were raised with their grandparents would probably recognize it.
Right.
Coconut cubes, all kind of natural products. We tend to want to be organic, natural, and we don't use chemicals at all. So this estate has been certified organic. Well, you need to get a certification every year, and we cannot afford that. So from the time it was certified organic, we don't use the gramaxones, the permicides. We don't use that at all.
No, right. No chemicals. Right.
And like our chicken farm, in my father's time, we used to have layer hens in cages. Now we have them free ranging, so we kind of making a transition from
Right.
the traditional to the more natural products. So World Rivers Day this year is going to be at that site. And it's the usual thing, we get towards education.
Right.
So we invite the people in our area, invite everybody actually, and we have people coming on at various times, probably every hour, to give educational speeches about water, about what we do on land, how it affects the aquatic life, that kind of thing.
Right. Right.
We have swimming lessons. We have entertainment, like local, whether it be the ballet and the quadrille, and so we intersperse it with that. We have a bar. We have endless food, more local food. Like we have a plantain, we used to be planting like a boat, and then we fill it with all kind of natural, whether it be
Like a Dominican tacos.
So my sister specializes in that. She used the same Dominican thing and make it gourmet.
Right.
So at the same, everything that's Dominican, like dashing, you wouldn't find a hashi dashing in your plate. You will find dashing souffle, because she make a pie with it,
Right. Right.
And
Right.
she use probably a foreign cheese, if anything. So people from the outside kind of identify with the food because they recognize some of their food, and they recognize too that it's the local food that we're taking it up a
Right.
couple notches.
Right.
So,
Gourmet food with a Dominican twist.
yes,
All
yes.
right. So,
So
Father Coffee, are you going to be able to find your way from Indian River to go enjoy some of that food at number one beach?
I would love to go tubing myself. She never invited me to go tubing. But, she made a very interesting point. In the past for World Rivers Day, we met at Forestry Conference Room. We invite people, Wasco, everybody else, to plan, the program for the year. And if the communities, various communities would invite us, forestry would suggest what plant to plant, how far to plant it, and so on. But when come to the actual planting, the forestry officers may or may not show up.
Hmm.
Okay? They may or not show up. After the planting, from my 19 years experience, there have been no follow-up. Now, recently, I ran, I did a swimming camp with three coaches from St. Lucia. One was a general coach, one was a beginner's coach, and one was adults coach. And the lady coach, two men, she spoke about having passion for the water. And I realized all those years we're planting trees around the river, but that passion wasn't there. Okay, it's lacking. People go to the beach, they go with their coolers, they drink and eat, they did all what Jackie is saying, and then they wade in the water. If you notice, we don't swim. We don't swim.
Hmm.
So I have linked up, that's where Dr. Carla comes in, okay, with her swimming school, and making her pool available. Okay. I realize I can swim, but I cannot float. But she say floating is very crucial when you come to swimming.
Right.
Right now, as we speak, there was 12 parents and their children in St. Lucia learning to swim. I live in St. Lucia for 3 years, and the rivers are nothing compared to what we have. Why should our children go to St. Lucia to learn to swim?
Hmm.
I'm glad thing mentioned. But what I think is lacking are the experience where students from State College, 50 of them were in Pottersville cleaning the beach. I chatted with them. I went to Roseau. When I got back, there was nobody there. I knew there was a second group in Meru. When I went, I saw three students. I said, "Where are the others?" They said they went home. I said, "Well, why are you?" And this one of them told me these three in Mero stayed back to go swimming. Out of 100 students spending an hour on the beach cleaning up, and the passion, the love for the water wasn't there. And I think that is where we have failed as World Rivers Day Committee. Okay, we organize a lot of CEOs and so on, but to get our children, and when you think of swimming, as Carla says, hmm, you learn a skill. You might have the opportunity to save somebody. Mr. Lawrence told me he was in Batibo and somebody had difficulty there, and thank God he was able to go out with somebody else to rescue that person. The skill, having the skill. You can swim with the whales. You can get a job as a lifeguard. Okay, as a diver, there's so many exercises. I mean, just
So,
name it.
so what you're
So
saying is
I
that you had the focus before was on
planting
protecting
trees.
and
Hmm?
protecting the banks and the catchment and what's on land, and now you realize that there is also the need to encourage people getting in the water and developing the love
Amen.
for the water
Yes.
itself.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So Father Coffee,
Mm-hmm.
let me take a quick
No,
break
but before
because
you go, let's
mhm,
make it clear. It's important, and if in fact it is essential to plant the trees. If
right.
we don't plant trees, we will not have any river. That's important. But to really have the passion for water, I think we need to do something else.
Yeah, I agree. And so let me take a quick break, get a word from the sponsors because the time is going so fast. And when we come back, we I want you to detail some of the activities for World Rivers Day that's happening this year. I know there is a writing competition and some other things going on. We'll talk about that, but let listeners stay tuned. This is going to be a quick, short break to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, my guest tonight, Miss Jacqueline Douglas and Dr. and Father Franklin Coffey, we're going to be continuing our conversation about the upcoming World Rivers Day in Dominica. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Presented by.
I'm not going back in.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Writers, we need you. We've got exciting news. Get ready to immerse yourself in the exciting world of words at the Write to Kubuli Virtual Literary Festival. From September 15th to 20th, 2025, we're showcasing the incredible talents of writers of Dominican descent. Join us for inspiring panels, thought-provoking workshops, captivating readings, all from the comfort of your own home. You can engage with your favorite authors, participate in workshops, and dive into discussions that spark your intellect and imagination. You don't want to miss out on this vibrant celebration of culture and creativity. Make sure to save the date, September 15th to 20th. Follow us on social media for updates. Let's #WriteToKubali together. We're trending. Register now.
All right, welcome back, and thank you for to our sponsors. Uh, Remember to like and share this week in interview. A special thanks to the management of RVR Jams. They carry this week in interview live on DigiPlay channel 59 in Dominica. And also SBE Radio in the Toronto market also carries this week in interview live. A lot of folks watch this program not live because there are so many other programs on a Wednesday at this time, but they see it after the fact. So if you're looking at this after the fact, don't be left out. Find out what you need to do or what you can do or how you can participate in World Rivers Day 2025. And even if you're not in Dominica, there are rivers all over the world. Find a river, find a body of water. The theme for this year's World Rivers Day is Our Rivers, Our Future. And it's so true because rivers, water, the quality of water affects so many aspects of our life, our health, or the most valuable thing that we can have is our health. And that is strongly influenced by our water, quality of water, our rivers. Also, the only thing maybe more important than that is air. But I like to remind Dominicans of the treasure that that our rivers are, that our fresh water is to Dominica. It's absolutely a treasure. And because we are so fortunate that we have fresh water in such abundance, we take it for granted. And because we take it for granted, anything that we take for granted, we tend to neglect. And so we neglect the need to be intentional about how we manage this invaluable resource. How do we manage to dump trash over a hill over a fallows and not realize that that trash is ending up in one of our best rivers? That is just neglect and carelessness. So now you don't have an excuse. When you dump trash, it is your responsibility to to be responsible for that trash beyond when it leaves your hand. You're responsible for that trash all the way to where it it's rotted and incorporated back into the soil, or it is responsibly taken to a designated landfill. And even then, we have the responsibility to hold government accountable to make sure that the landfill is properly situated and properly designed. I remember when I came back to Dominica from college in 1990. We did a project at the Dominica JCs. They used to dump a lot of trash on the way to Purple Turtle Beach, not Purple Turtle, a Bell Hall, and we did a project there where uh, we got them to relocate that that trash area. We built picnic shelters and barbecue pits and so on, because at the time you could not go to the beach at Bell Hall because there were so many flies. As soon as you take your food, the flies want to compete with you. And as young people in the Dominica JCs, we did that project. We built picnic shelters, barbecue stands, and all of those things. And we advocated to the Portsmouth um, town council, it was at the time, I think, um, to find an alternate location for dumping. And we succeeded in doing that. And so I'm just saying that story to say that any one of us can make a difference if we understand the value of the treasure that we have. We would make a huge difference. Father Coffee, I want you to give an outline of some of the
But before
activities.
you go on, did you see this sarcasm on the title page on Sunday?
Yeah,
Yes.
the weed,
It
right?
was covered with seaweed from end to end. Did you see that? No?
No, I did
Yes,
not.
I did.
No,
And
but
I,
thank God. The
uh-huh.
following day, it was removed. I was happy how quickly the town council moved to clear it. I don't know how far they got, but they partner with the trucking company and
And
the thing. I
that's
also
awesome.
have this newspaper here with me. if you say the bottom of it, I
Pull it
don't know
back
if
a
you
little
can
bit.
say it.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
Our rivers are
Our
dying. Protect
rivers
them.
are dying, protect them. So
Hmm.
there are people like the seniors people who are advocating that something wrong and we need to be proactive. I miss your question. You asking a question.
No, so
No,
yeah. What I was going to ask you was to outline some of those
some of the
activities for World Rivers Day 2025 because we
so
pass
so,
running out of
so as
time.
I said, we had 100 days of activity. Jacqueline just told us what is happening in her area. Have you heard of the Mamilabo River? Mamilabo River. I never heard of
I
it
never heard
before.
of that. Where is that?
It's somewhere in above Benz, I think, in that area.
Oh
But
wow.
the Rotary Club will be doing some landscaping, and Mr. Douglas, another Douglas, will be from Paradise Valley Garden. He will be providing the plans for the Rotary to do the landscaping there. It's another secret spot as well. So these are two. I got a call from Cassie Bruce today, and it's a group of concerned ladies. They are going to be doing something in Cassie Bruce. I know there's going to be activity in Grand Bay as well. A lady in Newtown. So there are a lot of things happening. But my wish is with all those activities, I hope we can end up at the Indian River because they're going to have a fair on the river. I don't know how that is going to be possible, but they're planning a fair on the Indian River. And if the tourism department invested $190,000 to enhance that Indian River, we're going to have a welcome sight there if that investment is done. And they have 90 days. So we have 39 days left for World Rivers Day, but that project of we is 90 days. So besides what I mentioned, there are many, many other activities, taking place. Even in Belfast, where I live, we were supposed to identify a spot. They have a walkway, it hasn't been done, and have a special, an area, build a special area where the children and the elderly can come and relax. So things are happening. I'm very, very excited that so many people, the listener said to my sister, what is your what's the response to that money that's been invested in Indian River? And she said, you are wakening up people. So what you're talking about, people are hearing something and they are reacting. So I'm happy things are happening. By the way, next week I'll be 75 years old,
Wow.
celebrating my 75th birthday. So Jackie, it's time for you to take over. Hmm? I had a meeting with the Carib chief. Okay, unfortunately, she's not with her. 2 years ago, I met the Carib Chief Council and I said to them, the river is yours. As the First Nation people, you should take a more active part to protect our rivers. That's why we invited them. And you spoke about the theme for this World Rivers Day. But the theme you used, I think it was Day of Action for the River for that
Oh, okay.
theme.
Mm.
We are using the theme rediscover and walk in the footsteps of the First Nation people.
Oh, okay.
Rediscover. For instance, where did that name Indian River came from? Lennox Onitsha said, if we don't write our history, people will write it for us. If we are not careful, somebody else will come and say the name Indian River came from the West Indian cricket team. Huh? No, you're laughing, but that's serious. I would love, as part of what is going on this year, that we can identify a site along the river bank, Indian River, where the First Nation people lived. Because people tell me, is that true, Jacqueline? That they once lived along the river. Is that true?
I guess I
You don't
not
know. But
no.
With
anyway, I've been told that we haven't
yeah.
got much time to debate. So I hope we can identify the Indian River is a historical place. I appreciate what you're doing in Amstead, but we still, one of the competitions we had for this year, we're asking people to tell us which is the best river in Dominica. And I will tell you, the Rosa River was very, very bad as well, it was heading to the worst river. But with the cleanup now, that it might just move from the worst to another rating. I don't know. But we are still asking people, they still have time. Tell us which is the best river. And when we talk about best, we're talking about healthy. So as you say, Jackie, the water might look nice, but it's not healthy. Okay, so we are looking for that. So thank you for having us on your program. We're looking forward to continue the discussion, and I'm looking forward to the enhancement, not only of the city, but the enhancement of the Indian River.
Thank you. Jacqueline, I'm going to come to you and to talk about because Philo Coffee started that in the sense that he's saying it seems as though after years of what seems to be flogging a dead horse, we're finally seeing a stirring as though people are starting to pay attention. And I also heard you say earlier there seemed to be a small shift in attitude. So is that something that we can look forward to, that Dominicans are finally, with enough of us talking about it, finally starting to awaken and to start to show more appreciation for our rivers in Dominica? Are you seeing signs of that on the river?
I I could probably say yes, but there's so many other signs that's telling me our rivers are our future, but has time run out on us? For
Mm,
example, what you see behind me there, we call it, it's number one river, the same place upstream of which is this garbage,
garbage dump, it seems.
had the same wild pebble turtle beach was experiencing that massive amount of seaweed. Sorry, I might say bawash, and that's what we call it. That area, that we call it Nature's Rotunda, was full of bawash. And we were like, listen, what are we going to do? Because sometimes it comes in and it goes back out, but sometimes it sits there and it smells.
Hmm.
And it's H2S, it's hydrogen sulfide, and so it's
Right.
much near poisonous gas. And I'm saying, as a kid, I don't remember that happening, that amount, being inundated by that amount of bawesh. So is it that? And as I read, I go through and finding out where this thing is coming from. One of the things they're saying is that the poisons that we are sending into the sea is killing the plants of the sea. The phytoplankton is dying. Even a lot of the coral is getting bleached and dying. And so, is it that the sea is sending back our poison to us and our shores? So even as I'm looking forward to as a glimmer of hope, I'm saying, is it too late? Are we moving too slow?
Hmm.
To
Hmm.
catch up on the damage we have done to our environment this far. So I am balancing this. I'm not sure.
You're not sure. You're not
No.
sure. But I am of the hope that if we develop a mindset, uh, we can overcome we can overcome any adversity as human beings if we have the mindset to do so. And so Father Coffee, you've been a soldier in the fields for the
But
longest while.
listen to what Pope Leo said. I
Hmm.
would like to add, I quote in, I would like to add that we should pray for the conversion of the many people inside and outside the church who do not yet recognize the urgent need to care for our common home, both
Oh,
inside and outside the church. Okay, I asked somebody, the Pope put out a statement. Did you hear it on the Catholic radio? Okay. And she said, in fact, I was talking to Athleen, your sister, who called me, and she said, oh, that's the only radio station. I said, did you hear any statement? I'm not saying they didn't. I asked her when she called, and she said no. Unfortunately, the radio is closed down now for renovation and upgrading. But we as Catholics, we need to listen. It's not for the coffee thing. It's the redemptory, our option for the poor, and we have justice and peace and integrity of creation. That's what they allow me to work for, because we have that area where we work for justice and peace and integrity. But the Pope is saying we have to pray for people in the church who have not yet. It's climate change. From March to October, we'll be seeing those seaweed coming. Okay, and the fishermen are complaining of their livelihood is being threatened. Okay, in Layo right now, you still have Galakan equipment in the Layo River. Hmm? And I'm planning to visit the police to alert them that something serious is going to happen because the fishermen who gave me the TTV, they're fed up. They're fed up. A number of times they close down the road, but you still have Galagan in the Layo River, and how much people can take. Their livelihood is being threatened. No, in the past they used to catch the TTV in the mouth of the river, and yesterday they said almost way up by the Layo River Bridge now. Can you imagine? They say it's no longer Sunday at the mouth of the river. It's all rock because the truckers have dug the place and destroyed the beach. So it's more difficult for them. They have to go up the river now to catch the TTV. So something seriously is going to happen, and I will join them. I'll join them, whenever, it
Yeah,
happens. So I'm planning to visit the police department and alert them to say, something is happening.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That when we recognize the value that our rivers bring to us in so many aspects of our lives, you might find more people starting to take a stronger defensive position. Father Coffee, allow me, as you spoke about the church and people within and outside the church, a sad moment just came to me because I have a friend who a very staunch Catholic. He was from Grenada, Dr. Francis Caesar, and he passed away on Monday. He was 90 or 91 years old, but I'm wishing condolences to his family, but he was a very, very dear friend to me and a mentor. But the most important thing to him was the Catholic Church, and he was head of a group that is trying to get. There is a priest that was in the Brooklyn area. They're trying to get him canonized as the saint of folks who immigrated to the U.S. And he was one of the last conversations I had with him. He was super excited that there was a pope, there's an American pope, because he has the hope that that would make him be a little more accessible to his group, and they would see that that movement, that pleading for the canonization of a priest named Father Quinn to be canonized as that saint. So I just wanted to take a moment to remember to remember my friend. He has a link to Dominica because he used to tell me a lot of stories. He's from Grenada, but his family is a shipping family. And so as a young man, he used to captain a schooner to Dominica and purchase copra. So you probably purchased copra from your father. And he remembers the Amors as well. And he would take the copra to Barbados. And sometimes when he was in Dominica, he got because he was a very tall, athletic man. He got co-opted into one of the cricket teams in Dominica, and he would play cricket with them in Dominica when he was in Dominica. So I just wanted to remember him. He passed away
Mhm.
on Monday
Thanks.
morning. But as you talk about the church, that was super important to him,
Mhm.
Dr. Francis Caesar from Grenada. So thank you for allowing me to do that.
Okay, thank you. By the way, I will be on DBS tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock with Dr. Kala as well.
Right.
We have to keep going,
We have to
while we
keep it
still
going.
have the breath as this Pope. And it's an urgent issue. climate change, climate change. We have top political leaders in our world who say climate change is a hoax. I mean, come on.
Even when
So
it's
that's
on
what
their doorstep, even when it's on their
so,
doorstep, and
yeah,
and under
yeah.
their bed, wreaking havoc. So, Miss Douglas, I'm going to give you the opportunity to say some closing remarks. I think, in my opinion, it's a wonderful conversation. I totally enjoyed it. So to give some closing remarks.
I just want to appeal to the people in the Hampstead area to take better care of the waterways, whether it be Penton River or Hampstead River. Please, if you go there now, you're going to see garbage all over the place. We're tired of cleaning it ourselves. We're going to use part of the days leading up to World Rivers Day and World Rivers Day itself to do a river cleanup again. Last year we had the river cleanup. Very few people came, but many people came to the food and drinks that we had for the people who were helping us. So please, this year, please turn out to the cleanup of the river. Stop dumping garbage in Kokoye. Right now, we're trying to team up with solid waste, with environmental health, and with forestry, and us to see if we can get an excavator to clean up that spot. Please stop dumping garbage there. We're also going to put some hidden cameras there, and if we can't catch you, dog it yourself up.
you'll be you'll be prosecuted. All right. So thank you, and I wish you continued success with your activities at Hampstead Estate. Father Coffee, before I come back to you, I see Sam has put up the flyer for the essay competition, and I see Margot is in the audience. So Margot, I want to thank you so much for the flyers and the other graphics and all of your talent that you give so freely towards our rivers and to wave and all of that. So Margot, we appreciate you tremendously. Your contribution is invaluable to these activities. The Dominica
Yeah.
Community Tourism
Mm,
Association Incorporated and the Layu Improvement Committee presents an essay competition. The theme is Our Rivers, its contribution to community and tourism development. The rules is that they would prefer it to be typed, 500 words. The deadline is 4 p.m. on September 30th, 2025. Must be delivered to the Layu Improvement Committee office or sent to dctaic@gmail.com. Am I saying that well? Sam, put it in the scrolling thing at the bottom for me, please. The email, because the old
No, but
eyes are tired. Go ahead. Go ahead.
this this is particularly for the Isaiah Thomas School, and last year they got only 3 students.
Hmm.
And I told them, they need to, the students are still on vacation. They need to go to the school, take the competition to the school.
Hmm.
I volunteer to do that for them
Okay.
as well. Because if
Hmm.
we put it like this, I do not think the message is getting to our students. If in a school, if hundreds of students, only 3 students, in fact, they had a fourth child who showed up at the end and he was accepted and he got a special prize. So we need to go to the school. In fact, I myself, last year I visited 18 schools, for Day of Action for the school, you know, and that's what we need to do. We need to reach to the student. And there are some fantastic essays, those 3 or even 4 were very, very good essays. So we're hoping that the whole school will get involved in that essay writing.
Sam, put the essay
Some
up a little bit for
children,
me, please. Go ahead, Father.
we have a lot of children with gifts and talents, and we need to use that. Let them share the gifts that they have, and I wish we had at least a few of the essays to read on our programs,
Well,
as they come.
when you get the essays, you have this week in interview and TDN that would more than willingly um, take them on.
Mm.
And of course, you saw in the ad that there is a literary festival that's taking place September 15th to the 20th, and there's all kinds of writing as well. I wanted some to put the flyer up because I wanted to see where it showed that the essay competition was open to all students from LAYU between second and fifth form and college. Further, if you have influence, maybe they can include St. Joseph in there. I don't know, because it would seem like St. John LAYU are connected at the hip,
In
and
fact, I asked, we have quite a number of students from St. Joseph at that school as
yeah,
well. In
it,
fact, I wish it was open to all the schools in Dominica,
right.
not only Layu, but it's the credit union from Layu that's sponsoring
That's
it,
good saying it. Okay,
and so on.
right.
There's a local sponsor. But with this, we can do that, in the
Well,
other
the other
schools as well.
communities can replicate the effort because sometimes you spread too
Yeah,
wide and it's. So it's a essay competition for students from the LAYU area who are in second to fifth form and college, and you can submit your essays, 500 words. I didn't say if it's at least or if it's 500 words or less, but it says 500 words, and typed, preferably. But if you don't have access to a computer or typewriter, don't let that stop you. Handwrite your essay and deliver it. And so
In
the,
fact, we have students from Mahu and Masak at that school as
that
well.
school, right? So, but
So
it,
I
it didn't
challenge
it didn't
them.
specify the school. It just said the area. So maybe the credit
Yeah, it's
union,
a
maybe the
science
credit
of
union
a
is
school.
restricting it. Okay, to that school.
Mhm.
So Father, I'm going to let you give your closing remarks and any other
Yeah,
thing that we
okay.
haven't spoken about. Mhm.
Yeah, I just want to thank you. I think the media is crucial. We listen to you all. We hear what you're saying, and your passion is our passion. I mean, Jacqueline's passion is her area, and as I said, it's all of us. It's our thing. It's our common home. And we need. It's a climate change is for real. Okay, and we need to be concerned. So I want to thank you. And I mean, I had the unfortunate incident where a lady from Maho, she called her village council because she was having an issue with the water or the river, Zabico River running in her back. And she called her village council to help with the grass. The only time the grass is cut is when a gentleman with two horses cut the grass. And the person in the village council says, call Father Coffee. He's in charge of rivers in Dominica.
Uh,
Can you,
okay,
you laugh?
I
I'm
laugh
going to
because
challenge your prime minister that he should give me a special check for my service.
I was
If
just
the
going to
village,
say that. I was just
no,
going to
but
say that because if you're in charge, if you're responsible for the rivers, as soon as we start harvesting water in those water projects that they're talking about, you should be paid a royalty for every gallon of water that is sold because it's coming
no,
from
but
your
that
it's coming from
no,
your rivers, right?
yeah, yeah. No, but what the point I'm trying to make, to treat that villager who contributes to our community and pass the buck, I think that's irresponsible. And that is what's happening so much in our little Dominica. People not living up to their responsibility. If you are a civil servant, you do the work of a civil servant. That's what you're getting paid for. If you're a priest, as Pope Francis say, you have to smell like the sheep. If you're the shepherd, you have to smell like. So that is what I'm doing. That's why I appreciate my brothers in Layo who can provide me with TTV whenever I want to. And I feel for them as well, what they're going through. So thank you for having us, and we're looking forward to be with you again to give you
Certainly.
more details.
What
And as
what date
Jacqueline,
exactly? What date exactly is World Rivers Day?
the
And the
fourth
eighth,
Sunday in September is the United Nations. They decided that, and we as a nation is signatory to that as well. It's the fourth
Okay,
Sunday in
the
September.
fourth Sunday in September.
Okay?
Okay.
Right. And the Rotary Club will be planting on the 25th. a few days before,
Right.
and there are a lot of things happening. A lot
Happening.
of things that's
Okay.
happening. And I
All right.
see Margot say safari,
Mhm.
uh, um, Wave will be having a safari day. They will be going from different spots,
Maybe going from
visiting the
river to
various
river.
rivers.
So definitely.
I wish they
Okay.
would do that on another day, to mobilize people,
Well, it's not bad
and
on that day because if they streaming as they stop at the different areas, they can do live stream. TDN would be
Will know
available.
yeah,
what's
yeah,
They
going
can do
yeah.
live stream, and then eventually she said they're going to end up they would come to Hempstead as well. So thank you so much, Jacqueline. I know you sort of wrapped up a while ago. Is there anything additional that you?
just to say that that river, number one beach river, is going to do its grand opening on that day, World Rivers Day. So there is this
Okay, thank you.
extra reason to come.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
come one,
definitely
come on.
on the fourth Sunday of September. So
Yeah.
my guests, thank you so much. I hear the passion in both of you and the love that's coming through for the water. And I am also a water person because I consider myself, well, as a water engineer. I've designed water projects. I've designed treatment plants, water bottling plants, pipelines. As a matter of fact, one of my very first project I did, as I always like to say, as an engineer, was the Cabrit's cruise ship berth. And as part of that project, we did a pipeline from Picard River to the cruise ship berth, so that when the ships call into port, they could buy fresh water from Dominica. And then after that, went on to work for Dowasco and in the U.S. I've done a lot of water projects, and so my passion for water goes into that technical aspect as well. And
So, would you
wha-
consider yourself a good swimmer?
I can swim. I grew up in Castle Bruce. I can swim. I mean,
Yeah, that must be
I might
ingrained
be
in.
I might be living off my former self as a young man. Now that I'm older, maybe I think I'm still a strong swimmer. But
Okay.
no, I can swim. I
That's
consider
good. We
myself
need to
a pretty
encourage that
strong swimmer.
because there's a high percentage of our fishermen who are not swimmers. I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear that.
Right.
But many of our fishermen go out there
And
and
they
they're
cannot
not
swim. That's
swimmers.
crazy. That's crazy. No, no. I grew up in
Crazy.
Castle Bruce, and our strongest swimmers in Castle Bruce were the fishermen. Some really
Yeah.
strong men. When I went to Castle Bruce in February, I was so surprised to see that there were no boats on the beach. The
Wow.
boats in Castle Bruce are now launched out of Saint Sauveur. That was a very active. I mean, we used to get in so much trouble with the fishermen I was growing up because we used to use the seats of the boats to body surf. And I was there in February, and not one boat was on the Casabres Bay,
Wow.
which was tremendously unfortunate. But we have a big bushy in Casabres, almost like the one at Hempstead, and so we used to spend a lot of time in that river swimming, because if you could not swim, you would just be relegated on the shore. But yes, I can swim, and as my conversation with Dr. Carla Ashby from last week, um, it's unfortunate, as you say, that so many Dominicans are not able to swim,
You
and
know,
whatever we can do to alleviate that problem, I call it a problem, because
it is.
one of the things that you said, Father Coffee, I'd like to close with, is that we need to discover our passion for water.
Mm.
It used to be a surprise to us when we used to find out that there are people who go to the beach to sunbathe, and they spend a whole day at the beach and never go into the water.
Mhm.
And now you're telling me that there are folks who go to the beach to clean up and spend a couple hours cleaning up and never take a dip in the ocean.
It's
So
unbelievable.
we need to shift that back, and to develop
Mm.
that affinity and that love and passion for water, because that is what Dominica is. Water is at the core of our identity as Dominicans. And so I want to say a special thank you to you for years of guardianship and advocacy for the river. And I also want to express a gratitude as well for the Douglas sisters. Ella tells me it's Irma and Jacqueline. And I saw on social media you guys standing up, unafraid, unapologetic, and demanding better behavior. And though it might have made you unpopular, uh, Dominica thanks you for that, and Dominicans will grow to appreciate that effort and that behavioral change that you go after. So I thank you, and I wish you a very successful World Rivers Day activity and continued energy, continued passion, continued health that you can continue to fight. So I want to say good night to you both, and thank you again for being my guest on this weekend interview tonight.
Welcome. Good
Oh,
night.
good night. Good night, and
Good night.
thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
All right. All right, folks, there you had it. You know, I'm running, I have too many favorites, it looks like. I like to talk politics, I like to talk health. And now I always enjoy having authors talking about books. I always have these book writers on my program. And now you're finding out that I have an equal passion for water. Um, so, yeah, being the host on this weekend interview has just been a blessing. And tonight has been no exception. I want you, if you're a writer and you have not registered for the literary festival, it's a virtual festival, so you go ahead and register. Sometimes you can put the flyer up. You can register any type of writing, nonfiction, fiction, short story, poetry. Even if it's not your writing and you want to feature somebody else's writing, you can do a reading. There'll be workshops and there'll be webinars. There will be how you call it, panel discussions, and it's scheduled for September 15th to the 20th. So plan to participate, but you can also plan to tune in. There'll be an activity every day from the 15th to the 20th. And if you're in from the Layo area, remember to register for the essay competition that's happening, for the rivers and the role that they play, importance that they have to our community. Thank you so much to the team in the background, Ella and Sam. So thank you so much for getting me this wonderful guest that I can have such great conversations with. Good evening, folks. Good evening, everyone. Have a wonderful remainder of your week. If you are in the US, in the Northeast area, especially be careful. There's a lot of, with the hurricane traveling, there are a lot of incidents with riptides. So if you have to go to the beach, maybe not go in the water until the all clear has been given. And some folks have lost their lives in the vicinity, New Jersey, New York. So be careful with that. Other than that, go out and have fun. It's the dying days of summer. West Indians are gearing up for Labor Day and on all that festivity. So enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you again next week, Wednesday, on another episode of This Week in Interview. Good night.